We usually have your brother. Now we have you, Mitchell, and we appreciate that. We know you're much busier than your brother, and you have a much busier life. So when you stop by, we know it's very important. So I want to talk about Kansas City because I said this, is that every great quarterback in my lifetime has a thing. And we know Mahomes is talented. I honestly think his thing is he at times is better coming from behind than leading, and that is not the case with most even great quarterbacks. You were in that huddle. You were there. Is it magnetic? Can you sense it? Can you feel it? Because I watch him on the sidelines. He is more energized trailing by 14. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, he's the most competitive guy I've ever known. And so when he gets down, he gets frustrated and he internalizes it. And that's the cool thing with the coaching staff. Like, they don't have to get on him. They'll go over to him like, hey, keep your head up, all that stuff. He's like, get away from me, guys. I know what I'm doing. It just, that competitive fire, it burns, and he wants to show everybody how good he is. And he just can't handle losing. And so that flip, kind of does get switched now. You could argue that the refs flipped the switch for the Chiefs last night, but yeah, he elevates his game to a level that, you just don't usually see when you are behind. I mean, I think there's a stat out there that in games that he's been down double digits points, like the team has more than a 50% chance of winning, which is just like a wild stat to think about, that if you go down by more than 10 points, you're still more likely than not to win the game. Yeah. And to your point, it just shows how good he is when he goes down.
Did you know, because you were with the Chiefs now for half a decade, you got to see the early Travis Kelce. Did you know instantly, out of Cincinnati, that guy is a problem?
Well, with Trav, nothing really happens on the field like it's drawn up on the paper and like they do an install. He kind of just goes out there and feels everything and creates. And so you could say, oh, well, he doesn't, do the direct coaching, or he doesn't do that. But like, he finds space, he understands defense, he understands coverage. I could be in the huddle and we could be kind of talking to each other and BSing a little bit, as a play is being called, in a walkthrough, not in a game, obviously, but he'd be able to kind of joke, have that discussion and still hear the play with one ear and then get to the line and accomplish it. And it's just, he's got this almost savant-like ability to understand defense, understand spacing, understand, you visualize in your mind of Travis catching ball over the middle. He plants his foot, he spins the other way, and the DB is left grasping for air because he just feels everybody around him. His back's to the guy. He has no idea exactly where he is, but he's done it enough and he just understands that spacing. And so you could tell early on, he was a guy that kind of got it, quote unquote, got it. We don't really like to reduce things down to something that simple, but he definitely gets it, and you could see it early. And, he's been remarkably consistent and remarkably healthy. And that's the thing now that he's 33. I mean, he's still just, putting these seasons out and staying healthy. And it's really cool to watch.
It's interesting. I am an analytic fan, basketball, baseball, football, but I do think it is a little different, Mitchell, in football because you have a scarcity of games. So you can be in analytics, but if you don't win Sunday, that flight home, there's going to be guys on that plane that are like, our coach is out of his gourd, right? Like, there's an urgency to football that doesn't allow for experimentation like in the NBA or baseball, where you can say, hey, in the NBA, we're going to do some defensive adjustments here in February. You don't get that in football. So, Brandon Staley's done a couple, and I'm wincing. But last night, the Raiders went for it, and my takeaway is, well, I'm an Arrowhead with Mahomes. Of course I'm going for it. So, as a player, your takeaway, because everybody always thinks the players always want to go for it. And I'm like, I don't know if that's necessary. Keenan Allen called out his coach on Twitter. As an offensive lineman, were there times that you didn't want to go for it on 4th and short?
Yeah, there's certain times in a game where you just kind of understand the smart play is to kick the field goal or to punt. I'm with you. I love the analytics. I like that we're getting smarter about sports, that we understand more. And I think you made a really great point that, in football, if it's a 52% decision versus 48%, that's a 4% spread. That's over thousands of data points. And you only have one of those, maybe two of those opportunities in one game. And so you're looking at, fractions of percentages and these really tiny margins. And, that's where Baltimore gets brought up a lot. And you kind of just have to do it all the time and just hope for the whole season, the numbers kind of bear out and it gives you that little bit of an advantage. It's so difficult to boil it down. I know the models do a good job of taking into account, who's the quarterback, what stadium you're playing in. Is it Arrowhead? Is it, a Derek Carr-led offense versus a Mahomes-led offense? But in that instance, I think they made the right choice. And to your point, I don't think it was an analytics decision. I think it was hey, we got Mahomes over there on that sideline. Yep. We want to go ahead, we think our defense can do good things. Obviously first half, the pressure of the front four, maybe if we force them into throwing the ball, into having to, come back and win this game, we can get some good pressure up front. We can get a strip sack. We can put the thing away.
So, listen, two things I believe, Mitchell, can be true. I can be concerned about Tua and think the Dolphins' medical staff screwed it up. And also, quarterbacks get hit. It's the reality of the league. I've had friends, Bledsoe, Dilfer, Burrow. They're like, yeah, I get fuzzy. That's the position. So I can think two things. I think the protocols for quarterbacks, to me, if you wobble anytime between the lines, you are out that game and next week. You're out. I don't care. But I also don't want to eliminate players like Chris Jones or Jarrett in Atlanta. That is why they get paid. I thought that was one of the best defensive plays I've seen this year. As an offensive lineman, how do you view the roughing the passer calls?
I think it's gone way too far. Obviously, I'm going to look out for offensive linemen. I don't want the quarterbacks being touched, but this is football. I mean, the quarterbacks are signing up for it. We sign up for it. There's an element of physicality that you just can't take out of the game. Otherwise, it becomes something that we don't love, that we don't like watching. And I think these, the putting your whole weight on a guy, I understand the intent, and I think it was really maybe Rodgers a few years ago that kind of felt like he got pile drived a little bit, and the defender kind of tilted his shoulders down into Rodgers, lifted his butt up, and put his full weight into the quarterback. We honestly haven't seen a hit like that in a while. A lot of these guys, they're tackling the quarterback. They're essentially, if your shoulders and your hips are kind of parallel as you're going to the ground, it's really difficult to drive your force into the quarterback. And I think these D linemen are doing a really good job. Chris did as good of a job as you can imagine. He stripped the ball. He had the ball in his right hand. His left arm clearly was bracing against the ground to not fully fall on Carr. And somehow that's still a penalty. And Grady Jarrett, I mean, he gently, flung Brady to the ground. It wasn't even necessarily a fling. I don't know what is the lesser term of that. But these guys are trying. I mean, they're huge dudes. Yeah. Like asking 300-pounders who are dancing around double, triple teams, getting a quarterback in their grasp. Like, what are they supposed to do? I think it has gone a little bit too far. I think some common sense just needs to be shown. I'm not opposed to adding a replay for it. I hate slowing down the game, but I think if you do, you just watch it 2 or 3 times in real speed with a couple different angles, and you can tell in real speed what the intent was. I think it's pretty easy. I do think they roll it back a bit, and if you don't want your quarterback hit, you just got to protect him a little better.
Yep, 4 Pro Bowls, a Super Bowl champ, super smart guy. He's a Cal Bear. Every time we bring on somebody from Cal, they're pretty smart. That's a good thing. Good thing about the Cal Bears. It's great seeing you. Say hi to your brother, as always. By the way, to your point, I was just thinking about this. Max Crosby last night sacked Mahomes, to your point, and he just bear hugged him, and then he let him go. It was like, Max, these guys don't want to get in trouble. Half of these guys are in golf tournaments after the year. I really thought Chris Jones made the play of the year defensively, and it's like, guys, we used to take catches from receivers. That's not what fans want. You can't take the best defensive player of the year from Chris Jones. Mitchell, it's a pleasure. Love your work, and thank you. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.